National Public Radio, or NPR, and three of its local stations sued the Trump administration Tuesday over its attempts to deny them congressionally appropriated funds. President Trump signed an executive order on May 1st, which ended federal funding for NPR and the Public Broadcasting Service, or PBS, over what he claims is bias in their programming. The NPR lawsuit says the Trump administration is taking away Congress's power to direct funds. As these legal developments unfold, we wanted to take a look at why Congress began funding public media in the first place. Most radio stations in the early days of broadcast, like CBS, were run as for-profit channels. But some advocates believe radio could help spread education to rural parts of the U.S. Universities began broadcasting lessons and Shakespeare plays, and the city of Chicago used radio as a virtual school during a mandatory stay-at-home order for a polio outbreak. Public media then really got its start in 1938 when the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, created a new class of non-commercial education radio stations. The FCC instituted a similar category for television in 1952. And the Ford Foundation, a charitable trust created with the wealth of auto magnate Henry Ford, gave $3.5 million in grants to local cities like San Francisco and Boston to start public channels. Presidents Dwight Eisenhower and John F. Kennedy both signed laws that included funding for public media, but the implementation was considered unorganized. That led Congress to create the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, or the CPB, in 1967, which would distribute congressionally approved funds to educational national radio and television stations. As part of this mission, the CPB created PBS in 1969 and NPR in 1970. More than 400 local stations join these two networks as members, giving them access to government funding and allowing them to share programming more easily across the country. Congress chose to fund the initiative with congressional appropriations instead of a tax on TV sales or a license fee like in the UK. Famously, Fred Rogers of the children's television show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood that aired on PBS testified before Congress about how important it was for CPB to continue to receive federal funding in 1969 when Congress threatened to defund it over accusations of it having a liberal bias. According to PBS, every Republican administration except the Ford administration has tried to cut CPB funding, including Trump now in his second term. For more, let's bring in CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. She's a professor at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles. So, Jessica, we gave the brief history 101 here. This suit was brought by NPR and three Colorado-based public radio stations. Forgive me if I wax on a little bit more, but Congress approved more than $500 million each year to the CPB through 2027. So is NPR arguing this violates the First Amendment? This money was already approved, both?
Yes and yes, that's exactly right. And I thought that explainer was fantastic. So let's talk about the legal case here. You know, I love buckets. So what NPR and these local public radio stations are arguing basically fall within three buckets. The first is under the act that we just heard about, the Public Broadcasting Act, that the president actually doesn't have the power to interfere, that the act was created in many ways to try and create a buffer between the government and the information that we receive, whether it be auditorily or visually. So the first is really a statutory argument. The second argument they make, something we talked about, I think probably 24 hours ago, is that the president actually doesn't have the power to stop this funding. And the executive order talks about stopping existing funding and future funding. And so the second bucket is if there's going to be any change in spending, that's Congress's role, not the president's role. And then finally, the third bucket is the First Amendment argument, which is that the Trump administration has said, we don't like NPR because it's, quote, left-wing propaganda, it's biased, and therefore this amounts to viewpoint discrimination, which is the worst type of discrimination you can have under the First Amendment.
But nothing in the law establishing the CBP specifically states its funding is conditional on content. The law says there must be strict adherence to objectivity and balance in all programs or series of programs of a controversial nature. Is that what the administration is going to challenge is happening?
So, yes, I mean, I think what the administration is saying is we want our taxpayer dollars to be used efficiently, and we want our taxpayer dollars to be used in a way that isn't blatantly partisan to essentially disseminate propaganda. And the administration is arguing here that they have the power to turn off the funding. I do think it's worth noting that the First Amendment arguments that NPR brings up here, I think, are quite strong because of what's in the public record. Because what's in the public record is the Trump administration saying, we don't like the content of what NPR is disseminating.
What happens next in the legal process?
What happens next in the legal process is a judge will make an initial determination. I know people are almost used to hearing me say this. At this point, there will be a preliminary determination, and then the case will proceed to the more substantive questions about whether or not there's a violation of the statute, whether or not there's a separation of powers concern, and whether or not there's a First Amendment issue here.
Okay, Jessica Levinson, thank you.